Hi, thanks for stopping by today for another free art lesson. I'm Wilson Bickford. You can learn more about me at www.wilsonbickford.com. I'm going to show you how to do some realistic tree bark in a wet-on-wet fashion. Now this canvas is dry because it's just a demo. You would actually have this within the context of a painting or whatever you're doing, and this would be wet. Now this brown, this is Van Dyke brown that I've put on. This is Charvin paint, by the way. I'm using a number 8 flat brush just to put in a basic tree trunk shape. I'm going to use a palette knife to embellish that and to highlight it. I've got a Creative Mark S59 type knife, which is typical of the wet on wet styles that you see around. What I'm going to do is take some white. I want a highlight value on this. I'm going to take white, a little bit of the Van Dyke brown just to lighten the value. And notice how I'm going to pull this out on the palette in a flat layer like that. I'll wipe the knife off because that much paint on the blade will get me into trouble. I wipe the blade off and I'm going to cut through and get a little ridge right on the edge of that blade. Now in my mind I have to pick a light source. I'm going to say the light's coming from the right, so I'm going to take it like this and I just touch the edge of that blade in ridges up that trunk. Now for whatever reason I see my students do this a lot and they tend to pull across. That works for birch trees. It looks better on a birch, but for these type of trees, just a normal everyday bark type tree, I can't tell you if this is elm or oak, whatever. I'm just thinking of a tree with bark on it, generic tree. But you want those ridges in that linear direction to it, because the bark actually forms in ridges up and down the length of the tree. And you'll see that it doesn't take much to get the effect that it looks like if you touch this you'd get a splinter, and that's what we're shooting for. But see how I just kind of randomly tap it on there. As it works its way around to the back side of the tree, I do less, which means I let the paint run out of, let the knife run out of paint, I should say. And I just do a little bit less, let it pick up some more of the dark paint off the canvas so it just slowly starts subsiding a little bit. Now see, that's starting to make that look three-dimensional. It looks very much like tree bark. On the back side, I could incorporate a little bit of a blue, which would be reflected light, which tends to actually make it look even more rounded. And you'll see that I'll come back momentarily and put a little more of the, a brighter highlight on that tree. So I'm going to mix up more of a blue like this with ultramarine blue. I could gray that down with just a touch of the Van Dyke as well. Again, get a color you like. Painting is all about using your choice of colors. So I'm just showing you the technique and the basic ideas between the warm and the cool colors. You use the colors that you like. Let it get a little ridge on that blade again. And here and there, not continuously up the trunk, but here and there, up the back side on the shadowed side of the trunk, I incorporate a little bit of blue, like you're getting reflected skylight onto that. If this were a sunset scene, you could use something in the reddish or yellowish vein. But it kind of completes the roundness of the tree and makes it look a little more rounded than it did when it just had the highlight on it. Now that's probably a little brighter than it would be in reality, but I want to make sure that shows up on camera for you. That'll give you the idea. And I'm going to come back last with just a little more white, and I think I'll use a little touch of cadmium yellow pale. Not that I want it real yellowy, but I want something that's sunshiny. A warmer color. The blue is actually a cooler temperature, which would read as shadow, and a little touch of this cad yellow pale into some white will give me more warmth like sunlight. And I'm just going to touch a little bit warmer color up the side on the highlighted edge of that trunk. Now this is a re-highlight, so I don't do as much. Don't get carried away with it. Just that little bit of extra snap here and there will be enough. Now don't you agree that that's a pretty good looking tree trunk? And they go on pretty easily. Now the knife is great for leaving that texture. It's a texturing tool, and that's what it's known for, and it works great if you let it. Don't overwork it. People have a tendency to overwork these. You want to leave it kind of thick like that. It's more of an impasto effect, but that's what gives it the look. So give it a whirl. Give this a try. I'm sure you'll have great success with it. Thanks for watching.